Hello there, this is Sheldon again. Welcome back to iOSeTutorials. Today I will talk about save and read data from txt file, plist file, as well as JSON file. So we will not use NS File Manager yet in this tutorial, and everything will be handled under the main bundle area. So we can directly read and write the data into the files and the main bundle areas. You can treat this video tutorial as a preparation for the NS File Manager, and the final project in the simulator will be like this. As usual, the code will be available in the GitHub repository that I will post the link down in the video description, so you're free to check it out. So enough words, let's dig in. So here we are at the Xcode, and I have created one simple single view controller, but I have prepared three files, as you may notice in the left side, which will be a package.json file, a package.txt file, as well as a package.plist file. So inside of these three files, I will have our data prepared. But if you have any question of how to create in these files, just as I showed, you just need to add a new file and then choose plist file there. Okay, so if you click this package.json file, you will find I have prepared a simple dictionary inside. It will be message hello from JSON file. And also same for the package.txt, it will be similar as message hello from txt file, and then from package it's just a message from in this plist file it's just a message that we have the value as hello from plist file. So let's come to the UI, the storyboard, and simply drag some IBLs and actions. So in this case, I will prepare four labels for reading, three labels for directly reading from .json, .text, and .plist file. And the final label will be for that write and then read the data. So also we will need three buttons as well. So for now, we're having three labels for first one for label for JSON file, second one label for text file, and then third one is label for plist file. And then I'm having four buttons as well: read from JSON file, read from text file, and then read from plist file. And now I'm configuring the final one, which will be a text field. So in this text field, we will type anything as we want, and then we just hit the button write and read data. In this case, we will write whatever we typed in the text field, and then we just load the data again from the file as in the final label. So I will put some placeholder like label for reading and label for reading the written data. After that, I will update all the placeholders for three labels. So it will be label for .json file, label for .txt file, and then label for .plist file. And after that, we can drag and drop all the IBLs for all the labels, text field. Also, we can drag all the actions for all the four buttons. So after we have all the IPL lists and action ready, let's do the first one, which will be read JSON data. Read data from this .json file. So first thing that we need to do is to access the file location. So in this case, we are accessing our file directly from the main bundle. So we can simply use the following lines. So from line 29, as you may see now, it's just as simple as define the path using bundle.main.path from resource. So in the first example, we're using package of type.json. So in the for resource, we just type package there, and then of type, we just type dot. We don't need to type dot, just JSON. So in this case, we can print out the whole path. But one thing that you need to make sure is in the next step, which is line 32. In this case, when we are defining the URL, we should not define the URL directly from the string. Instead, we need to define the URL from file URL with path. If you directly get URL from string, there will be some problem. Just keep that in mind. So if you use this finder, use Command Shift and G, you can copy our path and then paste here and delete /package, and then you can find it in the folder. This will be the main app folder. If you right click and then click show package contents, you will be able to see all the files that we simply drag and drop there under the main bundle, which will be .plist file, .text file, as well as .json file. So the first part is done, which is to locate our file using this path and the URL. Next step, let me simply drag my prepared code there from get dictionary. So in this case, as you can see now, we need to first access the data. So in Swift, when we get the data from content of URL, we need to use do try and catch, but we can use as simple as try exclamation mark to, in this case, we cannot print out the arrow description that in the catch, but most of the time, this line will be more than enough for us. So we just get the data from try exclamation mark data content of the file URL. And then next step, we just define our obj. Still, we need to use this JSON serialization JSON object with data. If you have watched my video tutorial about how to directly parse JSON data using iOS API, you will be familiar with this. And then in the options, we can choose allow fragments. Either of those three options will be good for our case. And after that, we can print out our obj, which will be a dictionary. So as you can see from the .json file, we can see the message is hello from JSON file. So in this case, we can define our dictionary with this object, or actually we can directly use this object as NS dictionary. So we just use a flat string is equal to obj as NS dictionary dot value for key. So in this case, we can directly find the string value that we needed and then update our self.json label.text. So after we run our project, and then if we click read from JSON file button, as we can see, the first label is updated as hello from JSON file, which is expected value. But one thing here, we have one warning that this never produce nil. So we can add one more condition to eliminate this warning. Means we are using the string as question mark string, means when it fails, it will come to next line, the end of this line as double question mark. Means if the typecast failed, it will give a default value as empty string. In this case, the warning will be gone. So after we run the project, it's still as good as we expected. So let's work on the get data from plist file now. After we paste everything, because the flow is very similar, so we paste everything. But there are some difference that in the plist file, we will not need this NSJSON serialization anymore. Instead, we can directly get the object from a dictionary content of URL. So here we just, in the line 57, we just define our obj, which will be an NS dictionary from these contents of URL. And next line, because it's already defined as NS dictionary, so we don't need to do the typecast again. So we just put one more exclamation mark there and then simply run our project, and it will show some error. So let's see what's going on now. So when we hit the third button, read from plist file, the app will crash. The app is actually crashing because of I forget to change the file name, because in this case we're still trying to access the data from package name of .json file. And then if we're accessing data from .json file, we have to use that NSJSON serialization. But if we get data directly from plist file, we don't need any JSON serialization. Instead, we just define the NS dictionary with contents of the file location, which will be an URL. So for now, we have, yes, another thing is I'm updating the wrong label. So in this case, we should update self.plistlabel.text. And if we run our project again, and when we hit the third button, label for plist will change to hello from plist file. And same, we have finished for the first label, that hello from JSON file, and the only thing left for the reading data is in the second, which will be reading from text file. So in text file, I try to do something different. So again, first for the path, we have the similar way. We just define the path with resource package and .txt file. But for the content, I'm not getting NS dictionary anymore. I'm trying to get all the data with all the data into a content string. So what we are doing now is to define our content string using NS string content of file, which is similar as NS dictionary with content of file. But for NS string, we have to use do try and catch again. In here, I just use try exclamation mark, but that will be enough. One thing that you may notice is that we have to select this encoding method. So it will be NSUTF8 encoding in the old days, but in Swift 3 it's just a string.encoding.utf8.raw value. This raw value, if I'm remembering correct, it will be 4. But anyways, in this case, we can get all the data into string instead of dictionary. So as you can see in the console, we are getting it as a string, although it looks like a dictionary. So instead of using dictionary in string, we have to do some operation. We don't have this key and value anymore. So we have to define our string in the line 57 as second part. We can use this colon to separate our string and then get whatever we need after this colon at the second part. So we will define our string as message string is equal to content string dot string components separated by colon mark. So in this case, we are getting an array of strings. So because we're accessing the second part, we will directly use dot last, which will be the final one of this array of string, and then we need to use replacing occurrence of string with string. So we have to remove this double colon. You have to use backslash colon to access this colon and then replace with empty string. But we also have to replace the close curly bracket as into empty string. In this case, we can print out our message string. Also, we can directly update our text label. Actually, we don't need to print it out if we are updating our UI with self.textLabel.text is equal to msg string. So let's see what's going on after we run our project. So let's hit the second button, which is read from txt file. As you may notice here, we are accessing and obtaining the right value that we expected, which will be hello from txt file. So after this after this feature achieved, all the reading functions are finished. And let's start work on our write and then read data. So let's go through it again. Hello from JSON, hello from txt file, and hello from plist file. Everything looks fine. Okay, so let's start working on the read and write. We can first simply define our string using that text field.text. In this case, we're taking our string dynamically. Okay, so next step, we need to define a dictionary. So this dictionary will be the dictionary that we are gonna write into the file. So in this example, I will write our dictionary into the plist file only. So in this case, you can have a clear look at what we're gonna do there. One thing that we have to do is to define the dictionary, and then we can set the value for key. And we don't need to make the dictionary as var because we only need to define it once. So we just let dictionary. And for writing the data, we can do as simple as dset.write to URL. And you may notice there will be an option for atomic calling. This one, if you are familiar with the property system in Objective-C, you will be very familiar with this term, atomic or non-atomic. Atomic means thread safer because if you set a property as atomic, means even if you are accessing this property from different thread, it's making sure the system is making sure you will update this property one by one. So all the information will be there. You will not lose any information. But when we set non-atomic, it's like there's no sequence, there's no security for on the perspective of thread safe. So anyways, we still need to define our path with this plist because we're gonna update our plist, and then we can simply write our data into plist file by this line 91. Okay. So let's put some comments as well. the first part, write data, is finished, but we need to read the data again and update the final label there down in our main UI. So similarly, we just need to grab the object again from the same URL that we define for the last action, and then we just get the string there. But after yes, we need to make sure we're updating the self.finallabel.text, and now we can run our project. So the app will crashing, and I will show you why. First, we're checking all the reading data is fine. Hello from JSON, hello from text, and hello from plist file. And now we can type some characters here. This is Sheldon, and then let's click write and read. So the only reason that app is crashing is because in line 89, we were defining our dictionary as an dictionary, and then we're setting the dictionary value, which will be illegal, because if you want to change the value of a dictionary, we have to define the dictionary as mutable dictionary. So after we change line number 89 into as mutable dictionary and rerun our project, it will show something correct. So first, we just test all the read, and then we just type something, and then we can write and read data. Again, hello from Sheldon, and then click write and read data. Okay, so this part is updated. And one thing that you may remember is we have updated the same plist file. So if you hit the third button, this third label for plist file is also updated. Okay. So I think this is pretty much about it. We have finished together with all the read data from different files, which are a JSON file, txt file, as well as plist file. And then we have made some changes in the write and read data. So we are able to write all the data. Typically it's just a dictionary, and then we are writing the data into a plist file. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to leave any comments, and if you like this tutorial, just leave a like. Also, if you really want to learn iOS development, I really recommend you to subscribe to our channel, and this video tutorial will be part of the local storage tutorial. So if you have any question regarding this local storage system in iOS, please feel free to check my playlist. And this is Sheldon again, and I will see you in next tutorial. Bye.